Hello and welcome to Take Time. I am your host, Patrick Marlette, and today we are going to talk about the Apple Watch Series 4. Now, if you are new to the channel, I do watch reviews generally on mechanical and quartz-based timepieces, but I don't see any reason why I shouldn't be dipping my toes into the digital realm. And I'm not gonna lie, I've actually been really interested in the Apple Watch series, though I've never tried one before, so I figured once the Series 4 was announced, this would be a good chance to test one out. So I just came back from my local Apple store where I purchased a 40mm version aluminum cased Apple Watch Series 4. I bought the GPS variant. I didn't need the additional cellular. It's just a little excessive for my needs. Now, what's also interesting to note about this new Series 4 is that even with the S4 processor, which apparently boasts 2 times faster processing speeds than the previous S3 processor, we have a thinner chassis at 10.7 millimeters as opposed to the 11.4 of the previous model. And in my opinion, thinner watches are always welcome. Other key features of note with the Apple Watch Series 4 is the electrical heart sensor built into the case back of the watch and the accompanying ECG app that will allow you to monitor your heart's electrical signals. Unfortunately, we won't be able to test that as the ECG app has yet to release. It's slated to later this year. But beyond that, the other new addition is fall detection. There's a lot of heart and health things added to this watch that weren't previously featured, including an enhanced heart sensor on the back of the case as well. But the fall detector is pretty interesting as it allows you, with the built-in accelerometer and gyroscope, to gauge whether or not you've suffered from a severe fall, and it will automatically make an emergency call for you. So yeah, a lot of features you don't find in your average quartz or mechanical watch, though I'll also state they are things that you probably won't need on a day-to-day basis. I feel like 90% of the people purchasing one of these are likely purchasing these to check their text messages whilst on the job, which is likely what I'll be doing, to be honest. However, I will be looking at this from the perspective of a consumer who also collects watches. I have a variety of mechanical watches with an array of different features. Not so many as this, but does this really stack up to your average watch? And should you just put your $400 towards this? Mind you, the starting price, this bare bones model I purchased here in an aluminum case, was $400, which is already a negative against this watch for me, as I would have preferred to purchase this watch GPS only in a stainless steel case. Sadly, that option isn't made available for us, and this watch ran about $400 when I received it, and it's in a stainless steel chassis. It's just more resilient. It's going to live up to day-to-day wear and tear a little bit better than aluminum. So without further ado, let's get to the unboxing and first impression of our Apple Watch Series 4 to see if its features live up to the cost and hype of this new design. Now, the aluminum model I picked up is in silver, though you could purchase it in gold and or space gray. And it looks like they gave us directions on how to do this. Let's just follow those directions. Okay. That tab did little more than open up a hole in the plastic for us. Looks like you just need to pull that and pull that. Should be able to crank this baddie open. Ooh, all these lovely illustrations. And our watch should be in here. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, I bet the watch is in this box, or at least that's what the illustration is leading me to believe. And lo and behold, there she is. But let's take a look at this stuff first. This looks like some very fun paperwork that I'm not going to bore you with. Probably tells you where the watch was made, China, and any sort of warranty information and instructionals. We don't need that. We have a wall unit charger and what appears to be some form of charging pad. I'm assuming this is like a close proximity pad for the back of the watch. Rest this on there, charges it, most likely. Again, this is actually my first Apple Watch, but this isn't too hard to figure out. We'll look at that later. And one thing to note is the battery life on these guys is only about 18 hours from what I understand. It seems to go in some form of constant standby, so maybe that extends the life of your battery, but I think in use, 18 hours is what you can come to expect, which is a whole lot less than your average watch. By the way, guys, your average watch usually, if it's mechanical, usually has a power reserve of about 40 hours. And there's no way that this is 40 millimeters in diameter. Hold up. Okay, so I lied to you. I took my handy calipers over here to measure this out. Generally, when a watch brand provides you a measurement like 40 millimeters, they're referring to the diameter of the watch. Well, I was sorely mistaken. It's 40 millimeters from lug end to lug end. And it's approximately 35 and a half in width. So nowhere near the dimensions I had thought at first, but it still looks to be a reasonable size, at least for my 7¼ inch wrist. Mind you, the larger version of this watch, the 44 millimeter, is slightly more expensive. So the starting price of $399 is for this unit in aluminum at 40 millimeters. Now, it is a pretty handsome little watch, and you can actually make out that heart sensor I was referring to. The electrical heart sensor is those two bars, and the heart sensor, the second generation heart sensor, is dead center there in the middle. And there's also, if you can tell, you see there, right there, little buttons. I'm assuming that's how you would release the strap, which, by the way, is not in this box. It was actually packed separately over there. So let me just grab that. And here is the strap option I chose. I went with the sports band that just comes stock with this watch. It should be white sports band. It looked like the most comfortable option. A little bit of literature back here. They even call it the sports band with stainless steel pin. You give me a pin that's in stainless steel, but you can't give me a watch that's in stainless steel. Just another complaint. All right, let's go ahead and crack this baddie open, see what it looks like. Yes, thank you, Apple, for that pull tab. You're so smart. Okay. Looks like more literature on the back. Something about this being made in China. And wait, there we go. There we are. Learn how to put the strap on your watch. I'm willing to bet that we're smart enough to figure this out ourselves. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off camera and bring the watch back with this strap on it. You know what, before I throw this on the watch, I kind of want to show these off because they're really nice. The material used here is very soft to the touch and nice in hand. And not only that, it is one of my favorite things when I'm talking about accessories on the show. It's very supple. It's really nice in hand and slinky. There's no doubt in my mind that this is going to be comfortable on the wrist. I also like that they give you two different strap lengths for the bottom end here. There is a medium, large, and small version, I think is what they're calling this. No exact measurements, but I am willing to guess that this larger strap is going to be perfect for my 7¼ inch wrist. And here's the new Apple Watch Series 4 on its white sports band. And I'm a little concerned that it's going to get discolored through repeated use, but for now, it looks pretty darn good. Now, why don't we go ahead and see what this guy looks like turned on. Oh, yes. So with the 40 millimeter version, we are looking at a 324 by 394 pixel-rich 759 square millimeter display area. This is, of course, an OLED Retina display with Force Touch. If you've ever used an iPhone, you're probably familiar with Force Touch. Essentially, when you press the screen, it allows you to do different functionalities with different little widgets or applications you have on your phone. It's useful on my phone, so maybe it'll be useful here. Now, this is telling me to bring my Apple Watch near my iPhone, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now to sync this baddie up. All right, so far as I can tell, that did nothing. However, I did adjust the language setting and got to this lovely screen where it's telling me to open the Apple Watch app on my iPhone. Well, thank goodness I own an iPhone, so I'm gonna go ahead and pair this off to the side, and we can get started looking through all of the features here. All right, guys, everything is freshly synced, and here we are with the new Apple Watch Series 4. It's funny, I used to own years ago an iPod Nano, the 6th generation, and when that came out, it was this really squarish, odd-looking iPod, and a lot of people were coming out with accessories to make that into a wristwatch, essentially. And I used that thing for years, just as a basic iPod, but also as a wristwatch. At the time, I wasn't really collecting any watches, and I really loved that thing. Who would have known in 2018 we'd be seeing more and more watch-related digital products like this. And Apple, of course, leading the pack in this genre. And here's the newly released watch face for the Series 4. I believe they call this the Infograph. It gives you a lot of information, as the name would suggest, and information you may or may not want. What's cool about it is that if you hold the screen with that force touch, you can go ahead and customize the display settings of the Infograph or pick a different watch face. This is a modular version of that same design. And let me see here. Why don't we go with, maybe not that. Let's just go with this. Yeah, why not? Sort of a basic graphical way to tell the time, not the easiest way to tell the time, but you get the idea. There's a few selections. Let's go with the Mickey Mouse one. What's cool about this is you can switch up to any of the preset watch faces that are on here, and I'm sure download new ones. But enough about the watch aspect of the Apple Watch. Why don't we talk about some of its other key features, namely the fact that you have a variety of applications you can access at your fingertip. Of course, these run in tandem with your phone, so anything that's on my mailing application on my phone should be in my mailing application here. Same with my text messages. My recent ones are at the top, and of course I can stroll through all of my saved ones. By pressing this bottom button here, not the crown, you can go through all of your open applications, hit it again to go back to your current app. At any point, the time will be featured at the top right, and if you hit the digital crown, you can go back to your watch face. Tapping it again will go back to all of your applications. The Apple Watch Series 4 has a 50-meter water-resistant rating, so that's good enough to go snorkeling or swimming, any sort of light aquatic activities. If you really wanted to, you could likely wear this in a shower and get by just fine. Though for more rigorous aquatic sports, I'd recommend an actual dive watch. Also, the watch features a build of aluminum as well as ceramic and sapphire crystal. Now, everywhere I've read stated ceramic and sapphire back glass. I could not, for the life of me, find a resource that stated that the top crystal was in fact sapphire, but I'm going to operate under the assumption that it is. I could be dead wrong. Let me know if you know what this crystal is made out of. So far, I have to say I'm impressed with how quick all of the functions are. When you hit an app, it almost pops up instantaneously. Everything else, I'm going to have to give more time to try out. But with all of my two-part reviews here on the channel, there is this part 1 unboxing and first impression to give you an idea of what the consumer packaging looks like, and of course, our part 2 week in the life in-depth review. So I'll encourage you guys to join me back on the channel to get my impressions of this watch after a week in the life to see if it lives up to the rest of my collection. And if not, we are of course going to test out Apple's return policy, but so far I really like the concept of having a smart watch on my wrist. I generally have something like this on my wrist at all times, so it'll be odd switching to something that handles a lot of the tasks my phone does. And we'll see if I turn to this more often than my phone during that period of time. But guys, if you enjoyed this video or found it in the least entertaining, feel free to hit that like button. It looks a whole heck of a lot like this guy. If you have friends, forums, or groups that were interested in the Apple Watch Series 4, folks that wanted to ask questions from another consumer about the user experience of this watch, well, feel free to send them my way. I like to answer any questions in our part 1 video and our part 2 in-depth review. So feel free to get their attention before I launch that so they can ask any questions in regards to the Apple Watch. Also, if you are new to the channel, well, welcome. I do videos like this 2 or more times a week. So if you enjoy watch-related content, I'll encourage you to check out the rest of my videos. Of course, the review for this guy is going to be coming up very soon, but until that point, you can check out the rest of my backlog to see some other watches that are within the same price range that have a whole host of functionalities as well. Again, my name is Patrick Marlett, and thank you for the time.